All right, good to have all of you again here. Sorry for keeping you all waiting one more time, but we're happy to come back to press. I have with me our Governor of our nation's capital, the Honorable Powers Pakop, as well as Minister for Internal Security, Minister for Communication, our Minister assisting me, Minister Tchenko, as well as other leaders, Minister for Bougainville Affairs here, and our local member of this part of our city, the Honorable John Kaupa. I want to indicate to all of you later this afternoon, our controller of our state of emergency here in our city, acting Commissioner of Police Yamasombi, will be with the Internal Security Minister to announce certain measures we are taking to ensure restoration of full order in our city is given and uplifted at the very earliest. But firstly, I just want to offer my thankfulness to the majority of our residents of Port Moresby City, our nation's capital. What we saw happened in 2 nights ago, and on Wednesday was an unfortunate event. We could have had the explosion into a proportion that cannot be contained. But I just want to say thank you very much. I appreciate the leadership of Governor Pakop and our nation's capital leadership, people of our city. Yes, you look around. Of course, there were substantial damages, but if you quantify them, a vast majority of our city remains intact. This is our only nation's capital, our biggest city, the city in which the seat of government is housed, the city in which the majority of the headquarters of businesses in our country is housed. And I just want to say thank you to all our residents, those at 9 Mile, at Makana, at 8 Mile, at Erima, at Kipo, at Boroko, at Sabama, at Taroma Town, Tokorara, Gerahu. We picked up that what happened on the night of Wednesday had element of an organized arsonist, and it was assisted by some rogue element of our police force. Investigation is now going deeper into this area, and within the next 14 days, full investigation would have been completed, especially on what transpired. That should give us the basis to take further administrative action as well as criminal actions through the due processes. But in the meantime, I just want to inform our residents of the city, expect the controller to make announcements later today when all due processes are retired. He will step out with the Internal Security Minister. It will not be a harsh, strict lockdown. We want to keep our city operational. We want to keep our city functional. It is just for public safety. It is just for order, especially when in certain key locations, Gero for instance, or in Badali, Koki for instance, when shops have been burnt, or Wagani. These are major areas where people come together for market and for purchase in our shops. We just want to have order in the way things are done in our city, and those measures have been introduced. It will not be a harsh, strong, stiff curfew. People movement will still be allowed, but limitations will be maintained. The controller would express exactly the final details, but from what I know, based on discussions we had earlier today, there will be no crowd movements in our city, except funerals and church gatherings. Others, apart from this one, there is no crowd movements. There will be no body of car moving around. Alcohols will be limited to permitted areas and restaurants. There will be people intoxicated on the streets, on the roads, loitering, unnecessary. All these things will be, police will have the right to search as to what you're doing. And it's just not police on the road, but it's additional support from defense have been called upon. Defense and police will work side by side today is the first day in which this lifestyle for the next 14 days will be lived upon. The controller and the internal security minister will go into the fuller details later on today. So thank you to everyone for your patience and understanding. I do want to apologize once again to members of our business community and the law-abiding general community, as well as our friends from abroad who live, work, and stay here with us or have been visiting us. I do sincerely apologize for the unnecessary stress that has been placed upon us. That was totally unnecessary. Pay mishap or pay deduction issue that was totally taken beyond what could have been a normal industrial way of resolving disputes. It was just blown out of proportion on Wednesday, as I did indicate in the press yesterday. The evidence of organization behind what did take place. You asked me this question 12 days from today or 13 days from today, I would be better equipped with the investigation report on what did transpire and further course of actions that the government would pursue administratively and police will pursue from a criminal point of view. So on this note, we will get Governor Pakop to say one or two words. I want to, again, whilst I apologize to everyone, I want to also apologize to Governor of our nation's capital. He's done a tremendous job in the last 17, 18 years under his administration. You all know what Port Moresby was before he took office. Under the last 17, 18 years, the Honourable Powers Pakop has done his utmost best to put the image of Port Moresby into the place it should have been. But one lid of match has eroded 17 years of work that has been put into this city. But Governor, I just want to give you my assurance. We will work with your city hall to ensure we rebuild from this. And part of the rebuilding would take into consideration how we deal with vagrancy, how we deal with people ID in the city, how we deal with people coming into the city. You must have a valid reason to come in, and you must have ID to come in. We will utilize our census for 2024, our nationwide census, to head count on who we have in a city, who we have in our country, and we will interface that or roll that out also with an ID-based program, that every citizen must be ID'd in our country, so that with an ID we know who is moving in and out, and we account for every citizen's and human right is a qualified right. You live within respect of others' right in living in our city with peace and harmony. And so those will be tidied upon from lessons learned in this catastrophe that has happened in the last few days. We will rise up from this to ensure we build back better and restore the amazing Port Moresby Governor Parker was working on, so that our nation's capital could be the first nice point of entry for visitors and businesses and people into PNG through Port Moresby. Governor, we apologize. I want to say that those who are in the business community who have been affected in the losses, I don't know whether Post Korea had me loud and clear yesterday, but I did indicate that we have some assistance program. We will be working through this. We'll be working through this. Post Korea seems to have a habit of trying to run up headlines that are contrary to what was intended. We did indicate yesterday that there'll be assistance. I know they put in the second page the assistance that we said, but they did a counter headline that I don't know where it was coming from. But in any case, if it wasn't clear yesterday, we did inform that there'll be a full assessment into the losses faced by our business community. I want to thank Governor Pakop for reaching out to them earlier today. As he did yesterday, I did also reach out to some of them who have been providing essential business services in our city, not 1 or 2 years, but over 30, 40 years. And their loss is our collective loss. I did ask them that we will look into some incentives or some assistance packages to ensure they get back up on their feet and to service our economy here in Port Moresby, in our nation's capital. Governor Paco, I want to give this moment to you to address the press, just to give assurance to our people. But we are working hand in hand, national government with the city municipal, to ensure that essential services are not stopped, flow of goods and services remain, and restoration of normalcy comes back to our city and to our nation's capital. Governor, please.
Thank you, Prime Minister. I acknowledge Ministers of State and my colleagues from the city, Honorable Justin Chachenko, Honorable John Kaupa, members of the media. I want to firstly thank Prime Minister for his leadership, and secondly for the initiative that the national government is undertaking to help all of us to recover from a sad, tragic, but a regrettable day, the 10th of January 2024. A lot has been said, but the most important thing now is for us to get to normalcy, to get to recovery, rehabilitation, and to get our city, our capital city, back in, its outstanding form, or to highest level that can continue to serve the government of the day, also the stakeholders in the city, and of course our entire country, being the capital of our country. That's been the focus of myself as governor since Wednesday, and our team in the NCDC, city manager and the team, and all the members of parliament from the city. And I want to assure everyone that we are working closely with the Prime Minister, the National Security Council, the NEC, and all the Department of the State, police especially, to enable us to recover. So in terms of recovery and getting us to move forward, for us in the city, and I've expressed this to the National Security Council yesterday, to the NEC, and to the Prime Minister and the Minister for Internal Security. Number one priority is to put in place a security force, especially a police force that is loyal, we can trust, and build and restore confidence in all the sectors of our city, but more importantly, the business sector. The business sector, the trust and confidence level have been shattered, and we need to reach out to them. So the initiatives that have been announced, I want to thank the Prime Minister, the state of emergency, a limited state of emergency, and I'm happy that it's a soft state of emergency, not to cause too much disruption, because we have had enough disruption, enough problems already. But this is, I believe, necessary in order to stabilize the situation, especially to put in place a security system that, as I said, it's trustworthy, builds confidence. As part of building confidence, I and our team met with the business community, particularly those who have been unfortunate targets of this mayhem on the 10th of January. If I could name them: Brian Bell, CPL, City Pharmacy Group of Companies through their franchise Stop and Shop, Papindo, Number One Trophy House, Big Rooster, Steamship, Eliseo, Dash Bash, and some of these other corporates in our city. The important thing to note is that these corporates who are part of our city, first and foremost, they have nothing to do with the problem that gave rise to the mayhem and carnage and unrest on the 10th of January. They're not responsible for this tax increase or glitch or whatever problems that happen in the system. They're totally innocent. They don't deserve this type of treatment that we subject them to on the 10th of January. Most of these corporates, they have been in the country for a long time. Not only they've been in the country for a long time, but they are brand names, household names in our city and our country. Brand Bell, you don't find it in the world. You only find it in Port Moresby, in Papua New Guinea. CPL, maybe some part of it might be in Fiji or somewhere, but the brand and the name and the core business is here in Port Moresby, PNG. Big Rooster likewise. Steamship is as old as Papua New Guinea. These are corporates, old and emerging one like Eliseo and Desbesh and Bismillah. And they've been household name and flagship, corporates, good citizen, corporate citizen of our city and our country.
Pay the taxes.
They pay their tax, they employ people, they generate income. They are part of the core of the economy of our city. And Prime Minister, the city, we don't have natural resources like the provinces have, but we are almost half of the economy of the country. This is the significance of these corporates that we subjected them to. It's unacceptable attack on 10th of January. So part of the reach out is to give them confidence and trust so that they can rebuild. And what I want to announce today is that Prime Minister, Ministers of State, members of the media, our local and international that are here, it's not easy for these corporates, after all their time and all they've put into the heart and soul into the city and the country and our economy. But today when I had a meeting with them in the morning, all of them, without any failure, they all expressed that they are committed to rebuild and they are committed to our city and to our country. And I'm humbled by that, Prime Minister. I'm humbled by that with the attack that they have. And so we must reach out to them. So the first and foremost, the security system. And I'm happy that this limited state of emergency is to, as I see it from the city level, is to ensure that we put in place a security, especially police force that has been good to us in the past. Prime Minister, I want to say this, that the NCD command has not failed us. Minister, yes, you know this too, internal security, they have not failed us, but on that day, they failed us. And my confidence too is shattered in them. And I believe the city residents, both corporates and our ordinary citizens, decent people of our city, their confidence too is shattered and they want to have a police force or security force or system that they can trust and they can allow their children and their wives and husbands and to go out their normal life, go to work, go to school, go to the market, go to their business, and the big corporates as well. This is the number one thing that we are looking at, and I am happy that this limited state of emergency will enable the government with the security leadership in our country, especially now we have an acting commissioner for police. The defense force will come on, that they can put in place as soon as possible this system. Secondly, as part of reach out and helping us to recover, we must reach out to them financially. Prime Minister, giving them tax and so on, that's something we all should welcome, tax break and other incentive. But I believe, and I would like to impress again, that, and I've made this submission to the National Security Council and to also the NEC, that we must accord them some financial returns or assistance, now, immediately, as a measure of confidence building, but to also help them to recover. Many of them, in the dialogue that I had with them, our team held with them today, their biggest challenge is to keep the employees on payroll, but also to rebuild. And I think the third part of that, and I would like to also state this publicly to the media, is that Prime Minister, we must help them with the Forex exchange challenges that we have. Part of a recovery, they must have access to foreign exchange so that they can import, like brand bell. They probably lost up to about 100 million, especially from their warehouse. CPL, I think 60 to 80 million, just based on, subjective observation and assessment of their damage and loss. And the other business house too would be in millions. To recover, especially corporates like CPL and brand bell, they import. So this is going to be a challenge for them. There are some corporates who have been subject of this, very unacceptable attack, that they've lost everything. There's one supermarket out there at Cassie in Taroma Valley. This woman, she's given all her life and savings and everything. Now she's left with virtually nothing. Nothing, not even some money to sustain herself, even for one day. This is the extent of the challenge that we face. And Prime Minister, I'm impressed on the Prime Minister and the NEC. I will leave it in their good hands and wisdom and consideration that apart from all the other reach out that we must do to help us to recover, especially the corporates, is to give them this level of comfort and trust. Security system, financial assistance, assist them with accessing foreign exchange so that they can get on to build and rebuild and recover. I am very thankful to them that they're committed to, as much as possible, keep their employees, even though it's hard for them to keep their employees. They find ways to, filter their employees into different sectors of their businesses, and I thank them. I thank them for, making that type of arrangement, because one of the consequences of this is that a lot of people have the potential to be unemployed, and it will affect a lot of families. Final point I want to say in this regard is this, that these corporates, some of them may be owned by individuals, particular companies, but many of them are owned by Papua New Guineans. They are owned by our super funds. Like CPL, is major shareholder is the super funds, Nest Fund and Number One Super. That's thousands of our employees, decent public servant and private sector employees who own that company. So we are taking ourselves. We've destroyed our own company. Brian Bell is equally major shareholder or big shareholder is the super funds, Number One Super and Nest Fund. Again, this is a company owned by our own people. Steamship is a shareholding by our super funds. This is the contradiction or the lack of appreciation and the consequence of our one day of madness. For me as governor, I want to maintain, and our team my team, members of parliament and municipal government, what happened on Wednesday, I maintain that it's unacceptable and not justifiable under any circumstance. You have grievances. There might be merits to your grievances, but how you address your grievances shows that it's irresponsible, completely irresponsible. And it's not accepted. We don't accept it. I don't accept it. People must be brought to account. Prime Minister, at your level too, I'm happy that you have started to bring people to account. We should go to the extent that we can go. People be brought to account. The perpetrators too, those who are in the city who have looted, and I hope the state of emergency will go after them, because there are people in abundance who have stolen property, are in possession of stolen property. That's a criminal offense. And it's easy to identify them because they are still indulging in whatever. Some of them are getting drunk even as we speak now. Trukai terminal out there at Koko Motukea, even me as governor, I didn't know that Trukai relocate to Koko Motukea. But somehow, some of these looters, they went out there to loot the entire terminal out there. And so this shows that there was some level of organized attack and organized crime. It was not just a spontaneous, action or reaction or, that happened on the 10th. There's some level of, organized attack that take place. The attack on CPL, it, shows some level of organized intentional attack. Not only will loot CPL, but will burn it down. Why? There's no reason to burn CPL down. What have they done that they deserve this type of attack? So on behalf of the city, I also have extended our biggest apology to them. I could understand if some of them give up. But I'm very pleased, Prime Minister, that all of them, despite their loss, it's emotional, mental, stress and traumatized sector of our community, important part of our community, but they are resilient and they want to recover. It's incumbent on us to help them to recover. Prime Minister, thank you very much, members of the media, ladies and our people. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We'll take a few questions from any one of you, either to the governor or to myself.
Or potentially even among the internal security stuff. Do we have an update on the number of deaths in Port Moresby? I understand about up to 9 or so were shot on Wednesday. Usually bodies have been found today amid the burnt out houses or burnt out shops.
Few bodies were found in the burnt shops. I think from what I was told at Saboma, 4 bodies were found inside the burnt shop. These bodies are part of the looting crowd that went in from preliminary observations. But again, the subject of the full extent, as we speak, the reports are coming in. So the full extent of not just deaths, but injured, those who are showing up in Port Moresby General Hospital, as well as the clinics in the city, will be made known later. At this point in time, we don't have the exact number yet. Some are still coming in. Those that are coming in have participated in those criminal events. Evidence shows scratches, bottle marks, cut, glass cuts, and all this. So we taking stock of everything in totality. Some are still out there in their own places, feeling scared to show up in the hospital, because obviously the next question follow on is, where did you get this injury from? So full assessment will be presented by the controller in the due course, as is equipped with the accurate statistics.
And Prime Minister, you've lost about 6 MPs in government. One of those MPs said that he felt the silence and inaction to handle the situation on Wednesday was deplorable. Do you feel that you and your government did enough on Wednesday evening to stop people from rioting and looting the deaths that we saw?
Yeah, far from it. Sometimes we don't need to be in the face of public to be doing work. The leader that mentioned knows very well I put in extraordinary hours in work. He chose to find this convenient time to make this statement. It's entirely up to him. On Wednesday, I was at work right through. 2 hours of that work, I was sitting up there, holed up in my office. Unbeknown to many, defense was ready to come and get me out of this place. I said, as Prime Minister, I sit in my office to address issues. And there were good members of the police force who showed up, neutralized the situation. We able to address. The police minister himself went to the Oval where the police were assembled. And mind you, it's not the entire police. It's a central NCD command that really failed us at a time. And they were assembling that space. And the police minister did show up. We were together in the office when he went across. I was willing to go across to talk to them, but the police personnel themselves said, Mr. Prime Minister, not necessarily you come across. We've heard from your minister. We're going back to work and going back to a post. In between them taking up the post, the organized mob started off from the first fire in Wagani Stop and Shop. An evidence point that people from a certain quarter of Morata settlement, they came out and started fire in Wagani Stop and Shop. Governor himself was present in Badili area with Minister Tachenko when they were seen some policemen from a particular unit under the command of NCD Central Police Command were fanning people to go in for the loot. This is deplorable, embarrassing that policemen in uniform were able to allow for this to take place. And so in between that Wednesday up till today, I have been at work, not missing from my duty. I was scheduled to go to Kokopo on Thursday, yesterday, to launch the four-way lane sealing from Tokua into Kokopo town or city. But I had to defer this to attend to yesterday's events or yesterday's activity. And far from his view that I've been missing in action, I've been in action. I don't need to be in the public face to tell them I'm at work. I've been at work right through. And by the way, I slept that day or the next day at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I woke up at 6 o'clock to attend to yesterday's activity. So he knows what my lifestyle in respect to work. It's just finding a convenient excuse. Simple as that, finding a convenient excuse to leave the fold. That's within his right. The leaders have the right to make their call and make their choice of association. It is an exciting time right in the face of 9th of February when the vote of no confidence period opens. It runs all the way until 9th of August 2026. No one can evade this period. It's part of our constitutional process, part of the way we do business here in the country. I just want to give assurance to everyone. Unfortunately, these sort of events take place under the shade of what could have easily unfolded in the floor of Parliament. Some of these things go out. Evidence do point that certain members of police have been linked to certain politicians also. But at this stage it's preliminary. Reports are being established as to who reports to who in the shade of dark hours, looking for certain provisions of upkeep for their own personal sustenance. Those are being assembled as I speak, and I can't speak for those who've left our government. We're a government of 104 members, the biggest ever assembly of coalition in our nation's history. For me to lose 4, 5, 6, even 10, even 20, I can live with it. I need to manage a lighter, better, efficient coalition, not bundled with so many vested interests. I've been held back by so many vested interests. We need to focus on the core interests. And here, right now, immediately, restoration of normalcy to our city and making sure city comes back to normalcy, as well as getting the other programs of making permanent normalcy become part of Port Moresby. No longer, I don't want to leave Port Moresby unsafe for the next generation. I've made a commitment to the nation that by 2029, my daughter must walk freely in Port Moresby City. It saddens me that a couple of years on, what we try to build has been eroded by not everybody else, but people who are supposed to keep the city safe. This exercise gives me an opportunity to clean out the police force. If I don't do it, no one else will do it in the future. And so we will clean out the police force to make sure police force restores its lost glory and credibility to be the police force it's supposed to be, protecting citizens, business, and everyone in this country.
Prime Minister, will there be a curfew during the state of emergency? From what time to what time will be the curfew?
It is a toned-down curfew. It is a toned-down state of emergency, rather. There is no curfew, but there will be restrictions placed on people movement. Under state of emergency, all powers go to the controller. Power to search, power to go into residence. As you know, Governor did indicate there are a lot of people who deliberately went in to steal from Brian Bell, steal from the stores. Embarrassing. Some even public servants were doing this. What an embarrassment this sort of thing is. You're already on pay, for goodness sake. These taxpayers pay your salary. It's just ludicrous and embarrassing to even think that those who are paid and work in the public service would go out on a free shopping spree like this in their own so-called perception. So the controller will have some rights. Police will be in operation. We'll be searching known premises to find out what is happening, and this thing will not go unchecked. We had a similar instance where there was some looting that took place in the Parliament precinct some years back. Trust me, this one will not go unchecked. We will ensure that those members of the civil society that participated in this organized spree, as well as the neighborhoods of those where the looting and rioting did took place, as well as police who were involved in this one. This will go into ensuring every stone is checked, and to ensure we bring those accountable to face the full force of law. Our good friends in Australia have reached out to us that we are on standby to assist if you need help, but there's no need for help from Australia. We've come through enough crisis on our own to know how to deal with crisis. This one gives us one more exposure and experience to deal with this sort of crisis. The policemen, if you care to look at it, it's only the NCD Central Command that failed us. Every other command were on duty. Lake Command was on duty. Hagen Command was on duty. Bougainville Command was on duty. Eastern Meridian Command was on duty. Every other command was on duty. It was one command that collapsed. Unfortunately, it was the biggest command that is exposed to all manner of contacts in the city. I repeat, unfortunately, it's the biggest command that is exposed to all manners of contact in the city. And as we approach the exciting time of the year, people have their own reason not to go to work. One computer misconfiguration. We will establish whether it was deliberate misconfiguration or slip oversight on those at Finance and DPM and Treasury. That is why heads of these respective departments have been asked to step aside, suspended in the meantime, as we get the central agency to go in and have a look at what happened at Treasury, Finance, and Department of Personal Management.
Sorry, Prime Minister, just on that, do you have any evidence that it was an intentional act, effectively that led to the deduction in wages, that led to the protests, that, so on and so on, that led to police off the job, that led to the riots?
I'm not saying it may be intentional. We're saying that system was not updated. So what made it not updated is something that we're going to check it out. The paradox is that my government gave tax relief to every Papua New Guinean. And we gave tax relief, and when they were enjoying tax relief in the last 2 years, no one even said thank you. They felt it's an entitlement. You get the benefit of free education from taxes we get from the business community. By the way, I'd like to say thank you to all the business community for word of confidence in Papua New Guinea to hang around to rebuild. Whilst I am Prime Minister, I don't have the luxury of the full process of government to say we will do this. Did said we will give incentive. Whatever form of that incentive is, whether it's tax relief or cash incentive, the entire cabinet process will funnel it up to cabinet. We will get it approved, and we will look into those business community. One of them, it comes to my mind, Eliso. If the owner of Eliso, you are listening out there, you emerged very recently during COVID-19, 2020. Eliso opened a shop in Gerahu in hard times. Papa Nama, live like I'm moving to store, and you cook him geno. You do not make him too. Me put him SME fund there. I put SME fund. Go and get it and build a store. You're not gonna do this sort of thing. They provide you garden and food in the city. Eliso, whoever owns Eliso, I don't know you, but thank you very much for vote of confidence on our country. In COVID-19, when everything else was shutting down, you opened a shop in Gerahu. We take note of you and those. Brian Bell, Stop and Shop. You've been part of us for so long. Desbest, Big Rooster. Governor, needless to repeat, but we know who you are. We're taking stock of everything. We will work with all of you and the City Hall, and we will work to ensure that you come back to rebuild bigger and better from the ashes.
Prime Minister, what for me, almost 80% of the population in the city are migrants. Now, this will continue to be a problem for the nation. What is the government's plan now?
We've assembled a committee to look into this, but first thing first, from this, we will ensure that everyone is living in an orderly lifestyle here. NID-based living in Port Moresby will be required. We'll take stock of every resident in our city. This year we're starting census. We will work with the provincial governments and the local authorities. In this instance for the city, we will work with the nation's Capital District Commission under Governor Pakop's leadership. Every people who lives in our city will be taken stock of. And we will tidy so that we don't have free reign in and out of the city. We'll also work with, this year we put in money already at Governor Pakop's submission. There's a safe city program we are mounting this year. Camera will be placed in all major intersections in the city, and cameras will then monitor movements of people, transportation of people, and for us to live in order in our city. Definitely restoration of our urban areas in our country to lawful living will be an utmost priority. I just want to impress on our people. Democracy gives you the freedom of movement, but it is a qualified freedom. You have to live in respect to freedom of others, and our conduct must be within lawful conduct. And so we will work with the City Hall to ensure we take stock of every residence in our city. And Governor has been vocal on introducing Vagrancy Act. We will work with the Governor to look at the form and shape of vagrancy to ensure that unnecessary movements in and out of Port Moresby is not taking place. Economic movements, health-related recent movements, as well as educational movements allowed, but totally freedom just come in and out will be something we will look deeper into, and I will present to the country a little bit later on. But sorry, coming back to Rebecca's question, there's no curfew, but there'll be limited requirements, as I said earlier. No big group and mass movement. The controller and his controller and his team will have access to, will have right to come in and search, check cars, check properties, check houses, check people, check your mobile phone. Cabinet has already invoked Section 70 provisions of the ICT Act, NICTA Act rather, to ensure that we go in and check phones, see who have been trying their very best to make this and fan it out of proportion, and we will this every measures we're deploying under the Emergency Act to use this point in time, the 10th of January 2024, as a moment in which we step up to improve and secure our nation's capital.